You know, I get excited when I hear these calls. I get excited when I hear two top-notch agents coming on board to share information that they're willing to share with you, because we all know working with Equitable, we're not in competition with each other. So what we got to sit and think about is, what can I do to put the things that these agents who just said some very powerful words, what can I do to put those into action? So what ends up happening is that a lot of people don't know where to start. So when you diversify a business, meaning, you know, do I bring on another agent? Do I bring on some additional carriers? Do I buy extra leads? And what ends up happening is a lot of agents sit and say, you know, I want to do what they say, and yeah, that sounds so good. But yet what ends up happening is that a lot of us just don't know where to start. You can hear all these things. You can read about these things here, but yet you got to ask yourself, who do I ask for this information? What do I do when I get this information? And when do I start? So it's kind of like a couple points I want to hit on, because everybody knows Equita has ULs, IULs, term, non-med terms, rural neighbors. They've got annuities. No matter what you have, Equita's got a cafeteria of whatever you need. You want a med sup, they got that there. So what we've got to sit and look at is that, what can I do to diversify myself to where I can be a more well-rounded agent, so when I'm in a home, I know what to offer, how to offer it, and what is the proper way to offer it. Because so many of us were on autopilot, which is good, and our main goal is to get these little cards back from clients, and they're commonly known as responders. They respond to this card, they saw something on there, and a lot of times when you door knocking, you kind of catch them off guard. If you call them, you catch them off guard, but yet there's something that they saw in that card. And what ends up happening is that they see something, yet they're thinking about something else, and they send it in. So us as agents, we need to kind of have a cafeteria of programs to at least discuss with these people, so when we go into a home, we know what to say. Now, the only way that anybody can get better on being a more diversified agent, you have to have some type of plan on what products you want to learn. Joe, I'm not really ready yet to do the annuities. I'm just not really comfortable with those yet. So I said, that's fine. So why don't we kind of pick two different ones on top of whole life, to where you can add something into your conversation when you're speaking with a client. You can talk about a term product, which can be used for somebody that doesn't want to buy a whole life. You can do a non-med term. You can do a fully medically underwritten term for whatever the reasons are. Somebody might need it for a business venture, key man insurance. Somebody may have a mortgage on a house you're going to, and they may have just refinanced and timing is on your side. You may want to discuss with them about a mortgage protection program. And the other one I'm going to recommend you guys to kind of at least think about right now to add to your whole life final expense in your term is a universal life. When you have these different items in your briefcase and you're able to discuss them freely, what it's going to do is going to open up your eyes to the business that you probably have left on the table. Because what ends up happening is that we're afraid. God, Joe, I'm kind of afraid to do that there. I really don't know how to do it the right way. Well, guys, you can go to the carrier websites. Most of them have tutorials on how to sell their products. You can go to Google. You can go to some vehicle on the World Wide Web, type in, how do I sell term? What is term? How do I sell a UL? What are the functions of a UL? How does a UL differ from a whole life? How does a term differ from a whole life? And what ends up happening is that you're gaining knowledge on, first of all, what you should be doing to get your business to a different level. What ends up happening is that a lot of times we run into a block wall. Oh, my God, I don't know how to do it. It's kind of hard. I'm just going to continue doing the same thing I'm doing. When Chase and I were in Los Angeles this past week visiting with an exceptional group of folks, they were so excited of all the different programs we had to offer. Okay? They come from another carrier or another IMO that had just one program. No term, no ULs, no nothing. So when they started hearing how Rural Neighbors has the new term, Rural Neighbors has a 20 pay. When we have different programs, what happens is that all of these agents' minds started clicking, and they started thinking, my God, I've got more cards now. I've got more stuff to offer to the clients that I have, yet a lot of them don't know about this stuff here. They're on program how to do whole life. So what one agent told me is that he is going to start learning how to do everything today because he sees a vision. He sees a larger opportunity for him that was not given to him before. And he said, Joe, he says, you know how much money I've left on the table? Do you know how many times I've walked away from my house never thinking about a 20 pay for a grandchild, never thinking about a mortgage protection? Joe, I just really never knew it. Is there anything different about him than about you? Of course not. When we have these calls here, the whole goal for these calls that Chase and Eric put on is to educate agents on different things that they have available as carriers, different things that we can help you discuss and learn. Because the most important thing for us is to get in the car with your manager. Hey, Mr. Manager. Hey, Mrs. Manager. I'm not really too sure how to sell a term product. You mind if I ride today to see how you do what you normally do? But yet I want some on-the-job training on what I can do to learn more term and more ULs. Okay? Now, when you start preparing to diversify your business, you need a plan, you need some type of direction, and you need some type of vision. Because our job is just not selling. Because anybody can get in the car and go try to sell. So what happens is that you got to take a step back, and when you diversify yourself, you need to learn different products. So you need to call the carriers. You need to participate in these calls. Chase has calls 3 times a week. Everybody has calls. You need to be on these calls. Well, Joe, I had an appointment. God, Joe, I forgot about it. Well, you know something? Go work at Walmart, and when Mr. Walmart tells you to be at work tomorrow an hour early because you have a meeting that you have to be there and you don't show up, you lose your job. With us, we're almost too nice. So what I'm asking is that I am asking every one of you guys to be on every single call you can, because today Rural Neighbors was supposed to be on the call to go over their term product. Chase is getting with them again to see when they can reschedule it, because when Equita spends the time to bring these carriers on, and they're spending the time to train you, coach you, lead you, and mentor you, they're doing it because they know it's a great product. Where do you go get a product like Rural Neighbors where you get a free will, you get a point-of-sale application, 20 minutes, and you're done. You send nothing in. Now the beauty about Rural Neighbors term product, you do everything on your computer. Now, granted, when you go to a house, you got to have a hot Wi-Fi or a hot card, so it's got to be able to hook up to the Internet, and you're going to get your client approved right then and there. To me, that's diversifying your business, because another beauty about that there is that when you come into the home, you can also hook up to check pricings out for a client. So if you want to get away from the old-fashioned way of doing things on an actual pricing sheets, you can have all that stuff loaded up into your computer, so you're going to have everything at your fingertips. My recommendation is for each and every one of you to understand that our game is not all about selling. What we do is the only way we can go out and sell, you have to know how to sell it. You got to know rebuttals. You got to know objections. You have to understand that when you walk into a house, our game does not start until the client says no. You've walked into a house before and they go, oh, my God, I've been dying to see you. Oh, my Lord, I'm dying to buy life insurance from you. I've been wanting to buy this for years, and you're the first person I talk to, and I'm dying to buy it. It don't happen like that. It's not even the movies like that there. So when you go into a home, you have to go in there, you have to learn how to assess the situation. It's kind of like when you see 2 guys in a boxing ring. Those guys are going into that match. They're going to have a 10-round bout. They've already looked at films on each other. They've seen them fight different people. They see all the things this guy does. Yet when they get into that ring, they're testing. They're maneuvering around to see if maybe that guy might have changed something. Because if they sit and be too aggressive, but boom, they get knocked out. Us is the same way. You've listened to things you've done. You've seen things you've done. You've been with other agents. You've ridden with them. So when you go into a home, I'm going to ask you, tap your brakes. Slow down a little bit. Get all those files in your mind organized and situated so when somebody tells you something, you don't get hit in the face with a left hook. You know exactly where to go. When they sit and say, I've already got insurance from somebody else. My kids bought insurance from me. I need to think about it. I can't afford it. These are things that you have to know what to say, because if you don't know these things, you need to go back to square one and start studying. I'm going to ask you guys to invest in your future, invest your time into your future to add value to what you're going to offer your clients, and have some vision of where you want to be at the end of this year and where you want to be next year. My personal thoughts are, if you do not have a term carrier, a UL carrier, you don't have Royal Neighbors 20Pay, which everybody in this call should have Royal Neighbors, because it is my point company, my go-to company, and it's a company I pivot every agent to go from to another carrier. You need to get with Equita, your manager, to load yourself up to where when the end of the year comes, now come Thanksgiving, holiday season, you can start learning these products. You can start looking at the agent guide, the RX guide, to see where you are. So what happens in the end of this year and the beginning of next year, you can be set up. So for me to close this call here, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to kind of think about, where do you want to be in 3 months? Where do you want to be in 6 months? Have a vision. Have some type of plan you've got set up, and hold yourself accountable. Because when you hold yourself accountable to these adventures and the visions you hope and you dream to accomplish, by holding yourself accountable, I feel very strong that you will accomplish them, and the results will be definitely worthwhile.